Barbara, I got my coffee. I got my two guests. I say we get on with this. Hello.
Hello. Great to be here, Dean.
Barbara, tell folks a little bit about you, and then I have a hypothetical question I want to ask you.
Okay. Well, my name is Barbara. My last name is Rozgonyi. That's Hungarian. And I am a fractional CMO who loves to help people refresh and rebrand in 90 days or less. I've worked with companies of all shapes and all sizes, and I've had the pleasure of working with global entrepreneurs via the United Nations and the World Trade Organization. Today, what I love to do is step in and help people with their sales teams inside, outside, all around the business so that they can rise up as visible industry leaders using our proprietary systems.
It's important to have your coffee.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so here's my hypothetical. Okay, yeah, the sales process is done, your own, right? And so you've signed the contract. It's a 1-year engagement to be a fractional CMO at a client site. Mm-hmm. What marks, and then I'm going to ask Darren, like what marks the bad version of this, like the red flags, but what are the green flags or accomplishments that, like the main ones that you try to see or get under your belt in the first 90 days once you start a brand new engagement?
Yeah, that's a great question because let's face it, we all want to have momentum. And if we were standing around 6 months later, nothing had happened, it'd be like, why did we even get started? So what we like to do is we like to start out right away with a framework called the CPR method, which is challenge, process, result. And in order to do that, we really have to dig in and find out where the quick wins are. And so we have this whole framework laid out, and we also want to make sure that we're working as a team. We get to know each other, and we have the same vision, the same passion that drives us forward. So at the end of 90 days, we can say, look at how much we've done. And just as a quick case study, we're releasing this in the next week. We did do this process with a client, and it was astounding how much their business had changed in that time period. They went from being very traditional to being a complete trendsetter that's turning heads. It's so exciting for everyone. And then once you reach that mark and you've got your momentum, you can really take off and fly.
All right. Darren, hi.
Hi.
Tell folks a little bit about you, and then I want to twist that hypothetical a tiny bit.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Darren Wilson. I'm based in Phoenix, Arizona. Lifetime entrepreneur in the marketing branding space. And a couple of years ago, I launched a fractional CMO firm featuring me, I guess. And I focus on beauty and wellness brands. And I typically start with an hourly engagement, and then we move into a retainer or just continue hourly, depending on what clients need. And I work with anywhere from 3 to 5 brands at a time, and a lot of work in Shopify, Amazon, digital channels, and growing. And the brands are typically, I would say, 500,000 to 30 million, depending on where they are in the growth cycle.
All right. Then you've got enough of experience along enough of a career and enough clients and enough prospects and companies that you looked at and say, like, this is not for me. Like, I'll just like, you should find someone better suited, which is the polite way of saying, like, you're invited not to call me again. And so what are sort of the red flags or indicators that a company's first 90 days with a fractional CMO might not go well?
I think, well, hopefully we're not engaging, like you said.
Yeah, hopefully not.
But some of the qualifying questions I'll talk through is, I really want to understand what success looks like and what is achievable, and then basing that into reality. And I'm also looking for what drives the value of that success. Is it because their cousin told them that they should be on TikTok and they're not, but they don't understand the investment in time and content goals and strategy that's involved in that? And what is their reality of success? And if that goes poorly, then I think I'm setting myself up for failure as well as helping lead their team. And the second piece is, that is by far, that's the driving factor. And then underneath that it's really how they keep score and their commitment to data. And because I do so much online and in the digital world, it's okay if they don't have the KPIs and core understanding, but if they don't want to run their business that way and they're not going to lean into the data, and that tells me that they're not going to make data driven decisions down the road. And that's typically how I would set expectations and operate. So those are the two big pieces that I look for.
Okay. Good answer. So the second, according to LinkedIn, the second largest demographic group of the audience for this podcast are CEOs. The largest are heads of sales. And so, make of that what you will. So for CEOs, what, Darren, do you recommend that they start doing once they bring on a fractional CMO so that they get maximum value out of that person?
I think it's really making sure it comes back to those setting expectations and being honest with what those clear expectations are. And you sit down and you're going to look at 60, 90, 180, 1 year goals and where they really want to be and why, and getting a feel for how healthy those conversations are going to be. But I think it's really interesting. I mean, I was on the other side of the desk. I ran agencies for 20 years, and being the role now, I'm on the brand side, but it's interesting as people, they will pull from perspective. The clients I have the most success with value that I'm not in the organization, and they actually ask me a ton of questions around culture and strategy and elements that could be affecting different elements of the business. Because we've built that relationship, and I think that's setting the expectation to have that relationship and keeping an honest baseline is there. And some people, I've had great, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the red light, yellow light, green light check-in theory, but they can just ping me and be like, red light, text me, we need to get on the phone, or I want to pick your brain on this. And those are healthy, when that honest feedback is there. That's what I really look for, and to have open eyes as you go into the relationship.
Yeah, that was a great answer. Okay, Barbara, let's turn it around a little bit. What are some things that a CEO needs to or really should stop doing, starting when a fractional CMO is brought in?
Well, that's a kind of a tricky question there, Dean. I mean,
They should probably stop thinking they're in charge of marketing now.
Well, I didn't want to say anything, but yeah. Ego can play into it. And I think if they aren't willing to let the CMO have some, I don't know if you really need control, but if they don't respect the opinion, and I guess one of the things I would say that really they should really think about doing is being more of a risk taker and be willing to try new things. Because let's face it, with marketing, what we did, even last month, I'm just now we're doing this, it's kind of like, if you don't know the dance that's going on, if you don't know what's trending, even if you're not on TikTok, if you don't know what's trending, you're going to get left behind. And I think sometimes the traditional mindset, or we've always done it this way, that's not going to work anymore. I mean, you could still have a real conservative business that's traditional, but you need to try a fresh approach. Even if it's just saying, we worked with a company that was in the legal sector, and they wanted to have a 60-day review for all social media updates. I'm like, you know what? These are not fresh anymore. I mean, you can have some evergreen ones, but you gotta move. So I would say they need to be agile. They need to be willing to try new things, and they need to have trust. If you don't have trust in the relationship, as Darren mentioned, you mentioned relationships quite a few times, Darren, which is so important. If you don't have that trust, then it's not going to work out for anyone. So, and if you don't have that in your profile and you're a CEO, maybe you don't need a fractional CMO. Maybe, I don't know what you need, but you have to really be open to new opportunities. I guess that's the most positive way to put it. Be open to new opportunities because they're there, and you need someone who can show you where they are.
Right.
I love that, Barbara. And the way I describe that is fail fast. They got to be willing to fail fast. Yeah. And as long as they understand, it's okay if we screw up. We're going to pivot. We're going to make a move, but we tried it. It didn't work. Let's allocate funds over here now.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't keep it. You can sink so much money so fast into marketing.
It's not working. Yeah.
I know.
Barbara,
you know?
so I have for both of you guys, I have some fill in the blank questions.
Oh.
These are my favorite questions because there's almost no work on my part. You guys have to do all the work. And so here's the first fill in the blank question. When it comes to marketing, many clients just don't understand.
I'd say how it works. It
Oh,
just, I had a client who, the best testimonial, they said, I didn't understand anything and you explained it. It's really a big complex issue. But if you
yeah.
want you just wanted one word though, right?
No, you do what you
Oh,
want.
okay. I would say today, they don't understand marketing today, if that's one
Yeah.
word.
All right. And then Darren, what do you think when it comes to marketing?
Data,
Many, they don't
Mm,
understand their data.
it's a good one.
period.
Yeah. Why?
I think there's just um, how with all the different tactics. So if you look at influencers and affiliates and paid search, paid social, organic, they don't understand how to correctly set an expectation, which means there's
Mm-hmm.
no scorecard. They don't know. When I said fail fast, they don't understand what failing or success means. And somebody that's probably not good at data, which is probably a functional leader in the organization, doesn't understand how to set those expectations or goals either. So it falls short, and you end up in this limbo land of opinions of was that success or not.
Mm-hmm. Darren, the next question. So a fractional CMO starting their business today is going to be surprised by what?
I think they're going to be surprised by surprised. They're going to be surprised by the the dating process. If they're
Mm-hmm.
starting their business today, and what I mean by that in marketing, I believe that it's truly the word engagement. If you think about it like a relationship and you go on the first date and the guy just literally vomits on her, he tells her all these fantastic things about her and why he's amazing, he doesn't listen, they are not going to get engaged. And the
Mm-hmm.
same thing happens in relationships, in brand, in CMO to CEO relationships. It takes a minute to get to know each other. And if you don't have a process like Barbara does, or you don't have a starting off point, that process is for you to date. And a lot of people will fumble through the first few months of a relationship and figure out how they're setting expectations, getting success, not success, and figuring out how to kickstart and figure out if you do want to get engaged and if there's an opportunity for you to go deeper with that client.
And Barbara, what do you think? A fractional CMO, today's day one starting their business, what are they going to be surprised by or shocked by or disappointed by?
I'd say the amount of work and the scope. I mean, you really have to go in there and
Right.
set hard priorities. But what I found is the ball keeps rolling, so it's like, we like this. Can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do that? And so the next thing you know, you've got a snowball effect. So unless if you have some stop points along the way and guardrails, you can really get overwhelmed very quickly. So I think you have to be very careful about what you say you're going to do, how you're going to do it, the time allowed. However you want to outline your project scope, you just need to do that up front, because if they love you, and I hope they will, they're going to want you to do a lot.
That's a
Okay.
great
And then,
answer.
yeah, it is a good answer. And then, Barbara, the last of the fill in the blank questions
Mm-hmm.
is we'll just use X for whatever the answer is going to be. Right?
Oh.
Clients always talk to me about X, but I think it's overrated.
Clients always talk to me about X, but I think it's overrated. I would say social media, because they get caught up, they want to be viral on something, and it's not probably going to happen. So I think that's overrated. One thing, I'm going to throw something back at you, Dean, is one thing I think that is underrated is public relations. And we do a lot of PR with our clients that gives them
Mm-hmm.
really exciting results very quickly. But that's not a term that they associate with marketing a lot.
Right.
So yeah, but they just want to be stars on social media.
Yeah. And Darren, let's do the underrated. Like, clients never talk to me about X, and I think it's underrated.
Content strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is, and I agree with Barbara's answer, because a lot of social can be extremely overrated because most entrepreneurs and business owners and CEOs are ego driven, and that's okay because that's why they're fantastic and that's why they're successful and that's why they have a strong personality. But the content strategy that appears in your social and how you overlay the messaging into that is so critical. And it's not just like, well, let's put it up because we think it's great. Where are we meeting the customer in social, in person, in the facility, in a meeting? And do we have the messaging and the content right for the place that they are within the journey, within the customer journey, and building that relationship with them? And I think content is underrated because there's usually no strategy around when, where, how are we producing it, and so forth.
All right. Okay. So, because it's my podcast, I set out the days and times when episodes will be recorded, but it's the guests who choose which episode they're going to be on. And it's completely random who you end up with as a co-guest. And so what we started doing, this is season 6, right? Episode 137, I think we're at right now, is we have the guests because suddenly they're thrust into this conversation with another person who does kind of the same job that they do, but very likely is no sort of competitor to them. And so we let them ask each other a question. And it can be anything. We've had a lot of weird questions like, what do you hate most about clients? How do you find clients? What do you think 2025 is going to look like for fractional? Like whatever you want to ask. And so, Barbara, I'll let you ask Darren a question, and then Darren can ask you a question.
Sounds good. So, Darren, since we are heading into the last bit of 2024, what do you see as the big things to watch out for in 2025 for all of us fractional CMOs?
I think I'm a B2C guy. So heading into Black Friday and Cyber Week and the holiday sales, all of that is always, you're talking 60, 70% of the brand's revenues that I work with. Mm-hmm. And now you have an economic slowdown, you have a presidential race, and everybody is in fear mode right now. So the economy and consumers are kind of, on the fringe, I guess. And as I think we've seen hiring slow, but I think momentum in Q1 will start to explode again, no matter who wins the presidential race. But the calmness and security will come back, and people will be re-engaged and ready to strategically, tackle the new year and grow. So I think it's open eyes and really being selective with who the right partners and who the right clients could be a fit for you are as a CMO. Or any fractional executive, like building good relationships. The reason we do this is because we want to work with people we love and enjoy and respect. And just, I try to remember that.
And Darren, how about you? What's your question for Barbara?
I'm curious, I love that you were talking about, the proprietary process that you built. And I'm curious, have you ever, because those take time and you iterate and you fail and fix and fail and fix and tweak. I'm curious, have you ever thought about monetizing either in an online course or selling it? Or so your business right now is with clients, but have you ever thought about selling to fractional executives?
Well, I love your question, Darren. I have created courses. I've worked with global brands and created courses for their sales reps with online 24/7 labs. So I'm very familiar with how to do it, and I've been paid to do it. I should do that because my system is very simple. It's the 4Ds. It's like the 4 wins of marketing: digital, direct, dynamic, and data, which you've mentioned several times. So it's a system that I've built over the years, and I've worked with so many different companies, and I just feel like marketing is hard to explain. And I majored in marketing in college, so it's been like my lifelong pursuit, if you will. And I wanted to make it simple. And this is a way that I can explain it. We also have PR as personality and reputation, so that would be a great thing for me to do. Maybe you guys could be affiliates once I get it up and going. But I do feel like there are ways to really have shortcuts through the marketing system that make a lot of sense to you and your clients. And I'm just done with taking forever trying to think of things. I want to move fast. I want my clients to get where they want to go. I don't have years. We don't even have weeks sometimes. We got to make it happen. So yeah, thank you. And I do have a podcast, which I forgot to mention, which is Growing Social Now. And on my podcast, I interview people who talk about what's happening in marketing and in life. So yeah, that's a good challenge.
I think
there,
it's like
Darren.
it's fascinating too, because, it's kind of like the shoemakers, kids have awful
Exactly.
shoes, and like for us too, like that's why I was kind of mesmerized by what Dean does and watching him and how his process rolls. I think you've done a fantastic job, Dean, of helping fractionals, and
It's
that
great.
trend is cool. And like I'm looking at that trend going, wow, how could I help all these people? Like I need 3 clients, and there's thousands of clients out there that need support and help. And the fractionals, I'm sure, are, there's good groups, but it's cool to me to see tools coming to that audience of executives.
Yeah. So Darren, it's time to wind down. Who should be contacting you these days, and what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Just look Darren Wilson on LinkedIn, or dw@dwcmo.com is how you get a hold of me. I spent 20 some years in B2B selling. I have a couple clients in B2B, but 90% of my work today and all the work back then, my clients were always B2C. So health and wellness, beauty brands, probably between, like I said, $1 million to 30 million is kind of a sweet spot that they might have a team, but they're trying to figure out how they grow their functional leaders in CRM and Amazon and Shopify, and like how they lift and elevate those folks. They don't have somebody that has the experience, that wants to get in and do the budget and the forecasting and the KPIs and help lead and teach that team. And they can't afford a full-time person, and it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Those are a good fit. And I'll always do an hour, half-hour call and just kind of get to know them and see if I can help. And if it makes sense, we'll jam.
All right. And Barbara, who should contact you these days, and how is the best way to get to you directly?
Well, you can always find me on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook. You can listen to my podcast. I'm on YouTube. You can go to my website. So I'm pretty easy to find on the internet. And I love to work with people who are ready for a change. They want to do something different. They're tired of being the best kept secret. Everyone knows who they are in their little circle, but the world needs to know now. So I love to use our custom mix, our 4D system, and I love to mix AI, digital marketing, PR, data measurement, and it's a lot of times it's B2B, it could be B2C, but it's all for people who really want to have a legacy and become thought leaders and really change the world in their own way, whether they are a CMO or a CEO who's leading a company, or it could be a not-for-profit. But the whole goal is to really give people the visibility they need to attract the attention they deserve so that they can build their brand and click with clients.
And did you say how to get to you?
Yeah, they can go to my website, barbararozgonyi.com. Yep.
All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. This is great. And
you.
Also excellent questions back and forth to each other. Those were really, really good. Some people kind of freeze on that. Some people just like flourish in it, and you guys flourished in it. So that was fantastic. And thanks for watching. This is episode 137, or clip number bazillion. So, there's, I don't know, 1,000.
Thanks for doing what you do, Dean.
Yeah, thank you so much from all of us.
Appreciate you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys hang around for a moment, and you're done. Thanks for watching.